Hello. Today we're drinking Macon Village. It's a Cave de Lugney. That's the winemaker. They seem like nice people. And maybe if you're not familiar with the term Macon, this is a sub-region of Burgundy. Where's Burgundy? It's like a narrow strip of land between Dijon and where Beaujolais is really small. So Beaujolais / the Rhone begins. What's the deal with Burgundy? Burgundy is one of those places that has that sort of rapport. It's that fancy French thing going on. I would say Burgundy's deal is purity. Because with their red and their white, they have some sparkling wine that they make, but I really don't know anything about it. There's only two things you're gonna get. With a red Burgundy, you're gonna get Pinot Noir. And with a white wine for Burgundy, Chardonnay. They also technically grow Aligoté, I think is the name of the grape, but they don't really see that grape as classy. It's one of the few things like really native to that region of the world, but it's hardly ever used. As this, you might see, is a white wine. It is indeed 100% Chardonnay. And I mentioned it's Macon Village. So Macon is really the bottom tip of Burgundy. And that is its own appellation. Burgundy is very subdivided. Every 10 feet, there's a new appellation, it feels like, when you're looking at the map. And you've got the big ones, you've got Chablis, Macon, Côte d'Or, but every little place in between has its own appellation. So they're very specific about these regional things, which means when you find something that is Macon and it's bottled at the chateau, you can feel pretty positively about where these grapes are coming from. This is bottled at the chateau. You'll see it there. It says it in French down here in blue. Now let's talk about this word village. Village, you see it on a lot of French wine labels. Across different appellations in France, it refers to either like geographic specificness or to a designation of quality. In Burgundy, it's a quality thing. So this is part of like the cru ranking, if you will. So in Macon, the levels are, if something is just Macon, Macon Village, Premier Cru, and then Grand Cru. So this is sort of like level 2 quality. Across the board, in France, I always see the word village as a great benchmark of like, this is a quality wine that you're not gonna have to break the bank for. It's something I really look for. Something interesting about Macon Village in particular is that only white wines will ever be labeled as village. Macon's really a white region. And Burgundy as a whole is. Red Burgundy is definitely a big deal, but 60% of Burgundy is white grapes. So they produce a lot more white than they do red. So this vineyard in particular is sort of in the northern part of Macon, which is the very southern part of Burgundy. And we're talking about a very small space when we get to Macon. So this is a really nitpicky thing to say here. The vines of Chardonnay are about 30 years old. They use a mechanical harvesting process, which is not particularly ideal, but certainly used among larger vineyards. Throughout the entire vinification process, from the initial fermentation to the aging, it's completely stainless steel. And once it gets to that malolactic fermentation and that aging process, we're on the fine lees. So they have a little bit of that yeasty funk happening. Something to note, I personally live in America. Not everyone does that, but American Chardonnay has a completely different meaning than what's happening in Burgundy. So a lot of people's first exposure to Chardonnay when they live in America is something from California. And in California, they're obsessed with soaking Chardonnay in oak. They'll put it in porous barrels, and they'll put wood chips in there in extreme cases. And the Chardonnay has a really spectacular ability to take on oaky flavors, which is amazing. I applaud Chardonnay for being able to do that, but I personally don't like the way an oaky Chardonnay tastes. In Burgundy, as I mentioned, they're all about purity. So in Burgundy, it's uncouth to use oak in your aging process for your Chardonnay. So almost everything, save a few, maybe visionary young producers who are interested in the New World tactics, are going to be doing everything in stainless steel. And so you're getting a pure expression of the Chardonnay grape. It really has that chalky, that mineral, that little bit of, I never know how to describe it besides plasticky smell that's characteristic of Chardonnay, but it's such a sharper cut without any of the oak influence. It's a little bit fruity. Yeah, sort of a stone fruit thing. A little bit of like a underripe peach. even an apricot if I'm generous, because fruit is not the first and foremost thing I'm smelling here. Wow, it's just remarkably smooth. This is the kind of thing that makes you think about, why are people obsessed with oaking Chardonnay? Well, it's a very neutral grape. Oftentimes they call it malleable. I like that word. It will really take to its environment. It has a lot of room to really accept the flavors of an intense oaking process, but drink on it just on its own is wonderful. It definitely has that sort of slate, a little bit of a salty thing on the back of your tongue, but the front of my tongue feels like melon. I wasn't crazy to call out the fruit thing. It has enough acidity to it. It does when you swallow, you feel yourself salivate a little bit. And this is 13%, but I do believe all Macon Village has to be at least 11.5%. But you can tell that this has a high enough alcohol content, but not in the taste, more so in the aftermath. This is a great expression of what the grape can do, and with a certain style of production in the particular, not particularly warm, but climate that Macon is, just north of the Rhone. It has a little more wetness, but still that same warmth that Rhone has. I don't know what the retail price of this is, because my wine store is not actually selling it yet. We just toasted it at a tasting. We were trying out a bunch of new white Burgundies. But I did see on the Vineyard's website, if you live in France, they're basically giving it away for free. It's like 650 euros a bottle, which is crazy to me. This is extremely high quality for what that is.